Hello, Miami. Welcome to Let's Chat with Disco George. My people, today I am bringing a very special guest to you today. It's Chief Pete Delgado from the city of West Miami. And he's been on the force for over 28 years. But today I'm bringing him to talk about what's going to be happening next week with the July 4th, with the fireworks. Sometimes doesn't that drive you crazy? People just firing fireworks before it's even July 4th. So we're going to find out what you should do and if you should even be calling the police for this. And he's also going to have some special tips for you to see what's going on in the community and make sure that you're safe. So let's get on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. And before we get started, I want to give you my new challenge coin that I had.
Oh, wow.
Especially for things like this.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Honesty, transparency, and integrity.
That is our motto.
Excellent. Everything that the department needs. Honesty, transparency, integrity.
Absolutely.
It's imperative.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. I wish I could show you guys, but here, hopefully the camera could catch that. Here we go. Look at that. That's beautiful. Thank you. So let's get into the thick of things because I know you got to get back to the house.
Yes, I do.
All right. So it's been a year since you're the chief of police, but tell us a little bit about your resume because you started with the department 28 years ago.
Yeah, so I basically started, my first job, real job, was as a police dispatcher with the city of West Miami, and that was in 1985.
Wow.
A couple of years later, I went and joined the Army, and when I discharged in 1990, I came back, and it's funny because they actually, my grandmother lived in the city, and they actually came by and said, hey, you need to come back to work. So they hired me back, put me through the academy, and I was there for, when I got out, about 5 years. And then I went to the city of Hialeah and became a policeman in the city of Hialeah. Gained a lot of experience there. It's a very busy city.
Well, yeah, I bet.
And then 2001, I came back home, as I say.
Excellent.
I've been here since. So total of 34 altogether, 28 of which with our city.
So when you came back, you came in as a patrolman. How long were you a patrolman?
Oh, I was a patrolman for a very long time. So my first promotion was in 2004, and then went up through the ranks, obviously, and to my last rank before I got promoted, which was deputy chief, and I did that for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then I got promoted a year ago. Actually, it's going to be a year pretty soon. Here.
Pretty soon, yeah. It's incredible. I remember when you got promoted, I was like, I was super excited, and thanks to Facebook, we actually have known each other for over 10 years. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I sent you a picture that our kids were in a league together playing basketball.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I'm like, oh my God, I know this guy.
It's been a long time.
It's funny how in the community, even though we were in Miami,
right,
everything blended together.
Yeah, all roads lead back to West Miami.
Exactly. So now that the department's yours, I'm sure your way of delegating, running the department is different than the prior chief. So tell us what you want to implement to put your touch and flavor into the community.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, George. I was very fortunate because the prior chief was also very good, very effective. So when I took over the department, there really wasn't a lot of work to be done.
Okay.
So we implemented some minor changes. We brought back the criminal apprehension team, which is basically a group of my officers that focus on catching the undesirable.
Okay.
So they assist the criminal investigations division. If there's someone that we need to go after, then they do the job. And we hadn't had that in many, many years. Before the prior chief left, he had brought back motors, motor units, which is great.
Which is the motorcycles, correct?
Motorcycle officers, which we had not had in over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's very good for the community, very good, and they promote safety within the community. So that happened. We've done a lot. We've done subtle changes, but it's been very effective.
I want to talk about something that I saw on social media, that you guys also have bicycles.
Yes. So we've had bike patrols for a long time. We just weren't utilizing them
As much.
efficiently or effectively. So now what we do is we have a hard schedule, so to speak, and they're out there at least twice a week. And their main mission is to patrol inside the residential area, so that, you know.
Yeah. How big is the city of West Miami by square?
We're about a quarter mile short of a square mile.
Okay.
And it, you know, the issue is that it's a very dense city right now. You know, after the buildings came up on the perimeters, that added to the population. So we have over 10,000 residents in a 1 square mile area.
Right. So it's funny. So I've seen them by the park a lot.
Yes.
Cooper Park.
Yes.
And what other areas? Is it just you just have them going through the streets?
Yeah. So their main focus is to focus on interior patrol. So the park is just you know, they have to stop there because it's actually a directed patrol. All the parks in the city are directed patrols. Okay. So whether you're on a bicycle or whether you're in a car, you're going to stop at these parks to make sure that you know, no one's doing anything they shouldn't be doing. And in terms of the interior patrol, it's great because you can hear a car coming, but you can't hear a bicycle coming.
Exactly. It's a surprise.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I was just thinking it would be great to maybe get them the electric bikes.
No, because then that will negate the exercise.
Well, yeah.
I want them to exercise.
You want them to exercise. Well, you can still exercise. They're actually, they go up to, I've seen some go up to like 28 miles an hour.
Yeah, they're pretty quick.
So, you know, I guess you don't want them to go too fast.
No, because then they're going to miss what they're looking for.
Exactly. So the main objective that I actually brought you here today was to talk about the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. So tell us exactly what could be done. And obviously the city is doing a huge firework display at the rec. So, but tell us a little about the fireworks.
You know, as we do every year, this 4th of July fireworks extravaganza keeps getting better and better every year, thanks to our mayor and city commission. So that's going to be obviously July 4th, which is next Friday. The doors are going to open at 4 p.m. So hope to see you there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good event.
And get there early.
Right. Now, in terms of the fireworks, state statute dictates, you know, when you can or cannot, you know, set off fireworks. And that's a big question that we get, especially during this time. And what I like to tell folks is that per statute, there's 3 specific dates that folks are allowed to set off fireworks, okay? That is the 4th of July, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Those are the 3.
Okay, I didn't know about New Year's Day.
Correct. So New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, they're allowed, okay? Again, if it's done excessively, we ask our residents to call us. We'll send a patrol unit out. But if it's on those 3 days, it's kind of difficult to tell somebody in the middle of the day, hey, you can't be setting off fireworks, because per statute, we don't want to be wrong. You know, it is what it is. Now, if it's outside of those days, because I know that some communities like to start early. You know, I live in Homestead. That's where I live. And I can tell you that there's fireworks in Homestead all the time, and it's not even close to those dates, okay? So if they're doing it before or they're doing it after those dates, absolutely call our non-emergency number, the 305-266-0530. Tell the dispatcher what's going on. Our units will respond. I want to say, again, we have a response time to routine calls in the city in about a minute to a minute and a half. That is our average response time, non-emergency response time.
Okay. Let me ask you, the question that I'm going to put to you is, what is legal and illegal when, like, if it explodes, is it illegal? What exactly is the ordinance for that?
No, and there's actually specific regulations that deal with the detonations, right?
Okay.
Usually, Miami-Dade County, first of all, it is not legal to sell fireworks in Miami-Dade County. However, it is legal to possess fireworks in Miami-Dade County.
Oh, interesting.
So the ones that are legal here that you can get are obviously non-detonating. The ones that you would buy somewhere else, like Monroe County or Broward, those are detonated fireworks. So when we get into the legal versus illegal, there's specific restrictions depending on where you live, okay? Miami-Dade County, like I said, they don't allow the sale of fireworks, but they allow you to possess the fireworks.
I'm sorry to be a little bit in depth, but I have you here for it, so we all get the information. Right. I've actually been to the Monroe, and they make you sign a release that you're going to use it for XYZ.
Correct.
So
correct. That's why I'm saying specifically.
Exactly. So if you're not using it for XYZ,
right, then you can get hit with a violation of the statute.
Okay. Which is it a ticket or exactly? So in other words, if you show up, somebody calls, right, and the father bought $250 worth of fireworks that are illegal for all practical purposes, what happens?
Well, listen, chances are we're going to tell them to put them away, okay, and that they can detonate them. People are pretty good about that. Okay. It doesn't have to escalate to.
Okay, no, I'm just asking because sometimes it's extreme. I've seen people that they're there for hours and hours. Right. And
if it's they're detonating them, it's going to, like you said, the father buys the son of all these fireworks. They're detonating them. It's going to take them 30 minutes to do, and the show is over. That's fine. If it's something that takes longer than it's supposed to take, then again, call us and we'll deal with it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go from extreme of fireworks. Let's go a little bit into music because that just popped in my mind. If you're having a July 4th party, what are the legal times that you could actually have your music loud?
So every city has different ordinances. In our city, the ordinance mirrors the county ordinance, right? But if there's music that's bothering you, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. If it's, Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon and your neighbor has, giant speakers and you can't have dinner with your family or lunch with your family, or you can't watch television, again, you call us and we're going to respond and we're going to tell them to turn that music down. If they don't turn it down and we have to come back, then there's other consequences.
Okay. All right. So there's a one strike, I guess, rule, I guess?
Yeah. You might get lucky and get two, depending if it's the different officer or the same officer that responded.
Okay.
Usually folks are very good about it and they turn the music down.
Okay. All right. Just because, there's going to be lots of parties.
Yes.
Especially since it lands on a Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So next, let's touch upon safety. There's been some changes in the city that the city manager, the mayor's been huge into it. With the speed zones. Talk a little bit about that.
So the first thing that the mayor implemented and the city manager was the reduction of the speed inside the city. Okay, so from 30 to 25 miles an hour, which I think is huge, because if you tell somebody speed limit's 30, they're going to do 40. Okay, right. If you tell them it's 25, they may do 35. Right, so you're still slowing them down. And in terms of the school zone, we have the school zone speed camera, and that basically is operational during the school hours. So whatever time the flashers are on, the camera is on. And if you travel faster than a certain mile an hour, it's going to cite you. Yeah. Right? And it's, again, a civil citation, doesn't carry any points, doesn't carry anything, and it's $100. For the citation. And again, in an effort to try to make the school zone safer for the children, because even when school is in, let's say, for example, the flasher times are in the morning and then in the afternoon. In between those flasher times, the children are inside attending school. Right. We still don't want folks speeding, faster than the posted speed there, which is 30 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Right. And there's folks that really fly by school zones. Once those flashers are not working or it's out of the flasher times, folks really speed there.
Yeah.
So
especially on 16th Street, because that's a connector.
Yep, and it goes through the city, and a lot of folks, using Waze or using other, Google Maps or apps, they cut through the city. We get a lot of cut through traffic, especially on 16th Street. Yep. And that's the street that Publix is on. So everybody takes 16th Street to go to Publix.
Yeah, there's been increased traffic just because of that.
Yeah, so they did that. They and again they asked me about it, and I thought it was a great idea to try to slow people down.
Absolutely, because you know where I live, and if it wasn't for me actually going and encouraging them to do something about it,
yes,
that avenue was incredible.
Yeah,
and they've actually
now you have speed humps.
Yeah, we have speed humps and the stop signs that help, and even sometimes some people they'll just blow by the stop sign. I don't know how they don't see it, but it's. Let me ask you, how much is a stop sign if somebody takes one? How much is the actual citation?
You mean if they run a stop sign?
Yeah,
they're not taking it anywhere.
Well, yeah, okay.
If they run, if they run a stop sign, usually it's $167.
Wow, 167, incredible. All right, so also there's cameras in some locations throughout the city. Mm-hmm. Those are still going on. What are?
Yeah, they've been there since 2010.
Wow.
So, and again, that was an effort even with the prior administration, which is when they were put in order to reduce the number of traffic crashes that we have in those major intersections.
Yeah. I was one of those that actually gave into that fund a couple of years back, and I found out what a rolling stop sign is. Right. What can you explain to the people what a rolling stop sign is at a light, so they don't get hit?
Right. So most again, it's not that you can't. There's certain places you cannot make a right on red, regardless of whether or not you come to a complete stop. But there's other intersections, unless it's posted, because it's going to have a sign that says no turn on red. That means no turn on red, regardless of whether there's a camera or not. If it doesn't say no turn on red and it says photo enforced, that means you have to come to a complete stop before making a right turn. Okay. And, the key, I guess, what we look at and our red light camera officer that approves these violations, what he's looking at is basically if you're careful and prudent. So if you're making a right turn and it's careful and prudent, even if you didn't come to a complete stop, let's say you're rolling through it at like 4 miles an hour, that's careful and prudent enough that he's not going to approve the violation.
Okay.
But there's folks that they get to the intersection and they make a right and they're turning at 12, 13, 15 miles an hour. There's no way that you can have such a good reaction time to be able to stop on a dime if you had to.
Exactly. So. All right. Well, I thought, I learned something today, because even though I knew what I did was wrong, I didn't know there was actually somebody that reviewed those.
Yes.
So that's good to know, because
it gets reviewed twice.
Really? Okay. All right. This is good to know. All right. Let's talk a little bit about crime. Even though the city's not plagued with crime, there's different types of crimes that you guys focus on, and tell us a little bit about that.
We've seen a significant reduction in crime since the beginning of the year, which is great for us, great for me, right? And great for the residents. The crimes that we're seeing now, a lot of the crimes we're seeing are cyber crimes. I don't know if you've gotten these text messages, but you'll get a text message from Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles saying, "Hey, you owe toll violations. Mm-hmm. Click on this link and go and pay it," and it's absolutely, a fraud, right?
Exactly.
So we tell everybody, do not click on those links. There's folks that are into Bitcoin. There's folks that are into that virtual wallet money. Your money's at risk if you do that. And in order to catch it, it's practically impossible to catch these folks that they're doing, because some of them are not even here. They're in a different country.
What's your best tip for something like when you receive those texts, what to do?
What you need to do is go on the website and verify, or make a phone call somebody at those departments and verify whether or not they sent those text messages or that email. There's a lot of government agencies that will not text you and they will not send you an email. You're going to get hard paper. Okay. You're going to get it in the mail. right? So we're seeing some cyber stuff. We also see minor theft of packages, especially in the buildings, because it's a generalized mail room. So the only people that have access to the mail room are the tenants, and sometimes they have Amazon packages delivered, and the tenants themselves are stealing from each other. So
oh wow,
we see some of that. I also recommend that folks, register the alarms in their homes,
right, with the city,
with us, with the police department, because if you have a false alarm and ADT, for example, or any other carrier decides that they're going to call the county, Miami-Dade Police Department, and they're going to, dispatch us, there's a significant delay there of like 4 or 5 minutes, because it goes to the call taker sends it to dispatch, and by the time it gets on their screen and they dispatch it, 4 or 5 minutes have gone by. And as you know, you can do a lot of damage in 4 or 5 minutes if you go into a house, where if the alarm company calls our police department directly, there's no delay. Dispatcher dispatches, and within 90 seconds, you have a police car in front of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that you gave me that tip a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that the way it was set up, there was so much time in between that it actually makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Makes a difference of minutes.
Absolutely.
So that's important.
After that, I actually added Ring cameras throughout the
That's
perimeter.
important too. I tell everybody to get Ring cameras, especially
at least
at the
doorbell,
front door, right? Because when Amazon delivers or FedEx delivers, that camera is going to alert you that there's somebody at your front door. Now, if you received a package and you're not home, maybe you can call a friend, your neighbor, and say, hey, can you do me a favor and grab that package and move it inside, or keep it until I get home.
Exactly.
So
yeah, especially if it's something expensive.
Right.
Yeah, I do that outside. And having a good relationship with your neighbors is so key.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah,
that's important.
Luckily, knock on wood, I have great neighbors, and we do that all the time. Hey, can you go get that for me? And it works out great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have any other tips before we close out?
Lights are important. The lighting in your house, the lighting outside of your home. And also, please take advantage of our watch order program. It is for all the residents in West Miami. If you're going on vacation, if you're going to be out of town for any significant period of time, call us. Put a watch order on your house. That just means that our officers have to stop in front of your house, and they have to annotate on a watch card the times that they're there, right? And believe it or not, it deters.
Yeah.
Let us know if you're leaving any lights on in the house. Let us know if you're leaving any cars in the driveway. If you're going to have somebody, a family member or neighbor, come over to feed your dog. That way we don't think it's a bad guy and we try to put him in jail.
Exactly.
So, but again, call the station, the non-emergency number, tell our dispatcher you're going out of town and when you're coming back, and we'll do the rest.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, Chief. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed today's show, please give us a like. And if you really learned something today and